there, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? Hope everybody's having a fantastic day, even though it is pretty rainy out there. It's dreary, right? Isn't that the word that we use for it? Dreary. Tough. A lot of rain. Hope everybody's staying dry, or at least as dry as they can. You know, there's no reason for you to go out tonight. You have football on. Let the Thursday night football game grab you, hold you, give you a hug, and maybe it'll keep you safe. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. We have a lot of things going on in the world of sports. 844-STUDIO-4, that's 844-788-3464 is the phone number. If you want to be a part of the program, anything on your mind that you'd like to talk about, I'm here for you. And we got about 53 minutes or so you got plenty of time to be a part of the program if you do want to be a part of it. Quick little announcement. I will not be here tomorrow. We will be rerunning today's program tomorrow, so if you're hearing this on a Friday, I'm not here live. But today on Thursday, I am here. We're going to get you ready for things going on in the world of sports over the weekend, get you prepped for the NASCAR race. First race of round number 2. It'll be at Kansas Motor Speedway, a very good track, one that actually produced the closest finish in NASCAR history recently. Don't forget that. Also, the NFL season moving on. Baseball is heating up. I'm sure people have seen the postponements of the Braves games. You know, the season was supposed to end Sunday, but now we have a double header scheduled on Monday. This is from the last couple of days where there's been rain for the Mets-Braves game. And obviously, the Braves can't play underwater. So on Monday, September 30th, the Braves and the Mets will be playing a doubleheader. Most likely will determine who is getting the final wild card spot. I can't tell you it. I don't think that either one of them is going to clinch before we get to that day. I personally hope they go in tied or a game apart because then it'll be great. You know, if you win both of them, you're going to the playoffs. Just add a little bit of drama to the end of the season. So we'll go over some things in the world of baseball. There were some games last night. Make sure you understand where we are. And not only that, there's already been some games that have gone final today. Important games, that is, in terms of the playoffs and team records. Yes, maybe the White Sox, maybe the Angels are in the news here. We'll talk about that as well. Also, get you caught up here on some high school sports. We've been spending a lot of time talking about football. Yesterday, we got you ready, set you up for the weekend or for Friday's games, let you know who's playing in the area. And we talked about last week as well yesterday. Well, today, I want to talk a little volleyball. Volleyball's getting to the end of the season, and we did have the Pine Lake volleyball coach and a player, Emily, here in studio with us. I believe that was last week. So just a quick update on the world around us in high school volleyball. So we'll talk volleyball today, and then we're going to get you ready for everything going on over the weekend. There is some news that I would like to talk to, some funny news as well. So we'll get to all of that. But we're going to start today with the volleyball scene. Starting with that Pine Lake team, we talked to the coach and we talked to one of those players last week. Since then, Pine Lake's lost a couple of games. Yeah, I don't think I'm bad luck. I don't. Although it's not looking promising. But after we talked to Pine Lake Volleyball, they did lose against Christ the King, and then a couple of wins to back that up on the road. Now, they don't play for a few days. Their next game is going to be on Monday, the 30th, against Lincoln Charter, who they did already play once this year. That is a conference game, so we'll keep an eye on that. Pine Lake, 12-3 on the year, having a very good season, but not the best season right now in the Southern Piedmont Conference. Well, they're doing pretty good, I should say, for where they're at. The conference that they're in is tough. Currently second is Pine Lake in that conference, behind Community School of Davidson, who is 8-0 in their conference games and currently sitting at 13-3 overall. They lost a few non-conference games here throughout the year. Some of them really close. Like Davidson Day, that was a 3-2 victory for Davidson Day. CSD unfortunately wasn't able to get that one, but it was a good game nonetheless. So, you know, CSD has a good team. They got the number one spot right now in the conference, and they're undefeated in the conference. Another team in the area that's undefeated, Lake Norman Charter. That volleyball team has not lost a game overall. Never mind conference play. They haven't lost a game in general. Currently sitting at 15-0, and they're the 37th ranked team in the state of North Carolina. Leading their conference, pretty obvious that they're leading their conference at an undefeated record right now, but Carson High School is right behind them. Now, that's one you're going to want to look at because there is another game between Carson and Lake Norman Charter before the season ends. First game went 3-1 in favor of Lake Norman Charter, but coming up, Lake Norman Charter will be on the road. They actually don't have another home game for the rest of the year, so if they want to close things out undefeated, they're going to have to be road warriors to get it done. Now, real quick, why are we talking volleyball so much? Because there's like 5 games left in the season. That's not a joke. Playoffs for volleyball, and we're going to talk some soccer as well next week when we come back. It's all right at the end of the season. Football is a little bit lagging behind. We're just crossing over the halfway threshold in most high school schedules right now. So we're going to get you up to date on some things that are closer to the playoffs for now, and that would definitely be volleyball. Some schools that we talk about a lot, so starting with Mooresville, they're not having the best year, 3-5 in the Greater Metro 4A Conference right now with a 6-8 overall record. It's been a tough season for them. They got 4 games remaining on their season. You also have Lake Norman, who's having a good year, 11-2 to start things off, 6-1 in the conference. They sit second in that Greater Metro 4A Conference. Cox Mill High School has not lost a volleyball game yet. Just keep that in mind. In conference, that is. Now, they've lost 2 overall, but as far as conference play goes, they haven't lost. Cox Mill leading the Greater Metro 4A Conference. Now, I have a couple more schools that I want to talk about before we move on from the high school scene, but we do have to go to a commercial break. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of show left. You're listening to The Scoreboard, and we're back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of The Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hurricane Helene making its way toward Florida this evening, but we need to be alert and stay weather aware here in the Carolinas, especially over the next 24 to 36 hours. Rain starts to arrive in our area tonight. The worst for us really overnight and into the morning hours on Friday. Be ready for heavy rain, gusty winds, maybe up to 50 miles per hour, which could topple some trees and cause some scattered power outages. We'll also have to keep an eye on a tornado risk for Friday morning too, but it gets better. It moves out by lunchtime. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The app with Lake Norman deals. The WSIC app is out now, wherever you get your apps.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Brookdale Village in Huntersville presents their free concert series Live Under the Oaks on Friday. The Village is open all day long for shopping and dining, with Hey Ladies taking the stage at 6 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy on-site beverages from Red Rocks. Live Under the Oaks kicks off at 6 p.m. Friday. This Saturday, the Taba Walk begins at 2 p.m. in Old Town Cornelius. Join the area's premier arts and music festival and get ready to experience Lake Norman's most action-packed and fun-filled community celebration with plenty to do for the entire family. Festivities include 2 stages of live bands and entertainment, local artists, craftsmen and vendors, local breweries, multiple food truck courts, a petting zoo, kid zones, games, giveaways, and so much more. The Taba Walk begins at 2 p.m. Saturday in Old Town Cornelius. Northview's Stars Ministry presents a fundraising carnival for children and adults with special needs on September 28th. The carnival begins at 11 a.m. Saturday at 2615 Amity Hill Road in Statesville with free admission. There will be food, activities, and fun for the whole family. Please help raise funds for children and adults with special needs Saturday at the Northview Church of Christ in Statesville. The Breakaway Carolina Music Festival returns to ZMAX Dragway this Friday and Saturday, bringing a party like no other. The festival features 2 days of music, activities, and much more, beginning at 4 p.m. on both days. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details for the Carolina Breakaway Music Festival this Friday and Saturday.
The Renaissance Festival is back! Saturdays and Sundays, October 5th through November 24th. Jousting nights, mermaids, fairies, dragons, oh my! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. Don't miss it!
To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Quality Car Care is your local Toyota specialist and a licensed NC inspection station. Plus, find a huge selection of quality pre-owned cars at QualityCarCareStatesville.com or call 704-871-2535.
The best talk all day long.
WSIC.
Local starts here. Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hey! We're back here on the Scoreboard. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. If you want to be a part of the program, I'm here for you. It's up to you. I won't be offended. Talking a little high school sports right now, getting you up to date on everything in the volleyball world. Because I'll tell you what, it's getting down to playoff time in volleyball. Yeah, you don't believe me, but it's true. Playoffs are around the corner. Only a few games left. 4 or 5 games in the volleyball season. We've been going over a lot of schools in the area. Just talked about Lake Norman as they are 11-2 overall, 6-1 in the conference, having a really good year. You know, I never really worry too much about Lake Norman sports. They seem to always be doing good. Next game, Monday against West Cabarrus for Lake Norman High School. Now let's come up a little bit higher in the county of Iredell. Statesville High School, we'll talk about them. South Iredell, West Iredell, even North Iredell as well. Let's start with North Iredell. They're having a very good year on volleyball. They are currently 17-2. Yes, 17 games on the season. 10-0 in the conference. They are killing it right now. 2 games ahead of Hickory, who is 8-2 in the conference, and that's really the only competition right now for North Iredell. Their next game is coming up on Monday. They'll be taking on West Iredell. Speaking of West Iredell, man, they're complete opposite of North Iredell, having a really rough year. It didn't start out well. It hasn't been going well. They have gotten a couple of wins in there, one against Statesville, and they got another one against Statesville as well. That's 2. That's their only 2 wins of the year so far. Tough season for West Iredell on the volleyball thing. They're 2-7 in the conference and 2-11 overall. Both of those wins did come against Statesville. Now, Statesville, they've seen better seasons in volleyball. Currently 0-10. They've won a couple of sets this year, which is nice to see. But it's been a really rough year this year for Statesville volleyball. They did not have a single non-conference game this year. Only played 10 games so far, and unfortunately, they've dropped all of those games. And last but not least, let's go ahead and bring you up to date on South Iredell. They're having a decent year, I'd say. 5-2 in the conference, which is really good. 12-7 overall, winning record, but kind of more like in the thick of things here. So South Iredell, don't count them out as we get into the playoffs. They actually have the most games remaining on their schedule. They have 7 games left, so a long way to go for South Iredell this year, as their next contest is going to be against Mooresville on the road. That's going to be on Tuesday, the first day of October. We are going to continue to keep you updated on things going around in the high school sports landscape. Yesterday, we spent a lot of time on football. If you need to get your fill of football, go ahead and check out that episode from yesterday on, all your streaming platforms, anywhere you get podcasts. We're not going to go into that just right now because there is some other things that we need to discuss before we get into the weekend. Like I mentioned, I won't be here tomorrow, so I got to make sure everybody's prepared, ready to go as we get through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And also Monday, we have a special treat for you on the Scoreboard, a guest host. Yes, guest host who has been a guest host before. You could probably figure it out. It's going to be Patrick Reynolds. He's going to be taking the reins over on the Scoreboard on Monday, so give him some love when you hear from him on Monday. Today's Thursday. We got plenty of time to go, though. Plenty of time. I do want to get into the baseball world. We've had some games today that have already gone final, some big games. The Tigers beat the Rays, the Detroit Tigers, one of the hottest team, if not the hottest team in baseball over the past month or so. They get another win. Their magic number is down to 2. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They got to win 2 of those games and they're in no matter what happens. Pretty good year for Detroit, man. They came out of nowhere and they have a chance to go to the playoffs. We also had the Royals beating the Nationals. That helps their cause for the playoffs. And a game that has nothing to do with playoffs at all, but you're going to want to keep an eye on this series. The Angels and the White Sox. Oh, boy. Going into this game, the storyline, in my opinion, it was really, really funny. You had the Angels, who if they lost, they would have obtained the worst record in their franchise history. For the White Sox, if they lose, they get the worst record in baseball history with the most losses ever. A lot up for stake here, man. A lot up for stake. And the Angels have broken their team record. They lost 7-0 to the White Sox, who are trying their best not to have the worst record in MLB history. But get this, all 7 runs for the White Sox, they came in the 5th inning. That's it. So you take away the 5th inning and the Angels would have been right in there. Oh, man, tough. Mets Braves, we talked about that being postponed. We knew that was going to happen, and we're going to have the doubleheader on Monday. That is going to be incredibly exciting. Cannot wait for that. It would not be very exciting, though, if we go into that game and they're more than 2 games apart and there's not much that can be done by either side to advance their position. It would stink. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes that's the way it shakes out. We have more important games coming up tonight. The Yankees and the Orioles will be squaring off again. Orioles getting a win yesterday. And the Dodgers and the Padres will be playing each other again. Dodgers got the win on that one last night. So a quick update for you on the playoffs and where we stand currently. The Yankees, the Guardians, and the Astros in the American League are your division winners. There is nothing that can be done to change that. In the wild cards, you have the Orioles, who have already clinched the playoffs. There's no way that they can lose their way out. You have the Tigers and the Royals, both with the exact same record, 2.5 games ahead of the Minnesota Twins, 3 games ahead of the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners, they're pretty much out. unfortunately. That was a collapse by the Mariners. In the National League, it's the Dodgers, Phillies, and the Brewers have pretty much led the NL Central from start to finish here, wire to wire. Not much competition for them there. But the Dodgers are currently leading the NL West. And they got the NL West pretty much locked up here at this point. The Padres are not going to be missing the playoffs this year. They're the number one wild card right now, and they have clinched their way into the playoffs. And then you have the Mets and the Diamondbacks and the Braves. Those three teams right now are who you're going to want to keep an eye on in the National League. They're all separated by like a game, even though you can't really judge that much right now because the Mets and the Braves are both going to be 2 games lower than the Diamondbacks when the Diamondbacks end their season. There's still anything that can happen there. That's all I'll say about that. So keep an eye on that National League wild card race. It is the closest one, but it's got the least amount of teams involved in it right now. I mean, it's only got one less team, so really doesn't matter. But that is where we stand currently in the Major League Baseball wild card race. Now, I want to talk about a baseball story that came out today. A fan who says he is the rightful owner of the Shohei Ohtani 50-50 home run ball has filed a civil lawsuit seeking to stop the scheduled auction of the ball. Max Mattis, 18 years old, filed a lawsuit Thursday in Florida seeking a temporary injunction against Golden Auctions. The bidding was supposed to start tomorrow. They're going to have to put a pause on that, it looks like. The claim is that the ball was wrongfully and forcefully obtained in the stands, and they reached in and grabbed it out of their left hand. That is the report. Now, do you have a legal ground to stand on here? Like, this is interesting. It really is. I want to know what are they going to throw this out because, hey, you didn't have the baseball. It's kind of a free-for-all. If you saw the videos from the stands, you could see the kid that filed the lawsuit. You know who it is just by watching the video. He's got a jersey on, and he looks pretty upset that somebody ripped the ball out of his hands, and that's what it looked like. It looked like somebody just kind of covered him and started, like trying his best to get the ball out of his hand and ended up doing it and celebrating. And you could tell the kid was not happy. But, man, that's interesting. You sue for rightful ownership of the baseball. I think the only person that might be able to do that is Shohei Ohtani. Maybe baseball would be able to do that. I don't know. Who's the owner of a home run baseball? When does it become yours? I don't know. Just a fun little story I thought we'd throw out there in the baseball world. We got other things that are important that we want to talk about. We're going to get into NASCAR, preview Kansas, round 2, race 1 coming up this Sunday. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Hurricane Helene making its way toward Florida this evening, but we need to be alert and stay weather aware here in the Carolinas, especially over the next 24 to 36 hours. Rain starts to arrive in our area tonight. The worst for us really overnight and into the morning hours on Friday. Be ready for heavy rain, gusty winds, maybe up to 50 miles per hour, which could topple some trees and cause some scattered power outages. We'll also have to keep an eye on a tornado risk for Friday morning too, but it gets better. It moves out by lunchtime. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Drum Landscape Supply is the go-to spot for anything you need for your yard. Transform your landscaping. Drum Landscape Supply has trees, flowers, natural stone, custom blended grass seed, mulch, and more. Plus, they deliver. DrumLandscapeSupply.com.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
A new show is making its way to WSIC. Tuesdays at 4, join host Patty Alvarez for The Good Soul, a show with in-depth chats with people from all walks of life. Want a sneak peek? Download the WSIC app now and stream The Good Soul podcast.
We're at Black Automotive. The Buick Encore GX is now at a low 0.9% for 36 months or a $3,000 rebate. Or the Buick Envista is also 0.9% for 36 months. And there's more here at Black Automotive Statesville.
Have you taken the Desco Challenge? Desco is where the professional goes for electrical supplies.
My name is Ashley. I just redid the lighting in my home, and the customer experience at Desco was second to none.
See for yourself at DescoInc.com.
Attention, fellow conservative investors. What does the name Reagan mean to you? It stands for being the ultimate conservative. It also stands for the Reagan Gold Group. Do you see storm clouds approaching? The stock market hates uncertainty, and there are plenty of reasons to be concerned. High inflation, unstable debt, and economic uncertainty are just a few. You have car insurance, homeowners insurance, and life insurance. But do you have insurance for your retirement savings and your 401k? We urge all fellow conservative investors to learn about the one asset that could help ensure your nest egg doesn't crack under economic pressure. GOLD. Gold. Call the one name any conservative investor needs to know about. Reagan Gold Group.
800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. 800-296-1557. That's 800-296.
I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. When an athlete makes a mistake during competition, it is important that they acknowledge where they went wrong. But after that, they must press on and continue striving toward victory. In our own lives, we all make mistakes and commit sins, even if we weren't hoping to do so. As followers of Jesus, it's important that we confess our shortcomings and then repent. Once we acknowledge our sin, we can then press on toward a life of obedience. Our response in these situations can be similar to David in Psalm 32:5, where he says, "Finally, I confessed all my sins to you and stopped trying to hide my guilt. I said to myself, I will confess my rebellion to the Lord, and you forgave me. All my guilt is gone." Today, let's ask God to show us what we can learn from our sin and how we can press on toward obedience. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Southwest Airlines is promising bags will still fly free, one of the core features of its brand, even as it has made other changes to satisfy an activist investor. We already knew, of course, it will start selling assigned seats next year and will introduce a premium option for extra legroom. It'll offer a stock buyback plan, but says it has no plans to introduce fees for checked bags. Southwest shares rose more than 5%. Something we might not miss. Starbucks is pulling the Princi brand of Italian baked goods from its higher-end roastery and reserve locations in the U.S. and China. Bloomberg News reports Starbucks will phase out the label, an idea championed by former CEO Howard Schultz, but will use the Princi brand in Milan and Japan. On Wall Street, gains of almost a half to almost 2/3% and a record. The Dow rose 260 points, the Nasdaq 108. The S&P set that record with a gain of 23 to 57.45. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right. I looked it up for you. I did my best. Apparently with a home run ball, according to Popov versus Hayashi, which is a lawsuit in the Unlimited Jurisdiction Department 306, with the Honorable Judge Kevin McCarthy, stated that once a ball is hit into the stands, it is no longer in possession of baseball, the team, or Major League Baseball, and the new owner is the first person to pick it up. Doesn't really help us here. But there is a legal precedent here. It's going to be interesting to see how that, because there's video now. That's the difference, is we have video now of things that happen in the stands. It's not an important story, but it is an interesting one. So I'm going to continue to monitor this one. I do want to get into the world of NASCAR here before we leave for the weekend. Like I said, reminder for everyone, I will not be here Friday. Today's Thursday. We're going to go over everything for the weekend today as well. We're coming up to Kansas. We had the closest finish in NASCAR history earlier in the season at Kansas Motor Speedway. Couple of differences. Number one, this is a playoff race, so the competition is going to be a little different. Number two, this is a day race versus the night race. I don't understand. If you have lights at the track, every race should be day to night. They're just always so beautiful. And you got to work harder. Like, think about the race car and how easy everybody says it is to drive, and then you start in the day and go to nighttime, and your car's going to be completely different by the end of the race. But we're not doing that. 3 o'clock start Eastern time on Sunday. A couple of things that's going on in the sports world. Number one, there was I guess we can call it a trade. I can't think of any other way to put it. There was literally a driver trade in NASCAR. Corey LaJoie, driver of the number 7 for Spire Motorsports, has been traded with Rick Ware Racing's number 51, Justin Haley. Those two drivers, starting at Kansas, are swapping seats. New teams for everyone. Very interesting. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that happen because I don't even remember if I have, to be honest with you. Probably happened back in the day a lot more often, but you know, in today's day and age with NASCAR, it's not something we see all the time. But it is interesting, and I thought it was pretty fun to see a trade in NASCAR. We go to Kansas on Sunday. It is race 1 of round 2 in the Cup Series playoffs. Kyle Larson coming off a dominating win. I can't underestimate or underexplain here how dominating the win at Bristol was for Kyle Larson. When was the last time we saw somebody lead that many laps in a race? It's been a while. It has. I found that interesting. I did. The Hollywood Casino 400, presented by ESPN Bet, is from Kansas Motor Speedway. It's going to be 267 laps. We're going to start Sunday at 3 o'clock. Quick update, not update, but a recap of your point standings. Playoff points, that is. You know, I could tell you all about what's going on in the regular season, but nobody really cares unless you're in the playoffs. And I'm looking at the NASCAR website, right? And I do have a little bit of a complaint that I need to get off my chest. If you've tried using the NASCAR website, NASCAR.com, very simple, it's garbage. It never works. You'll click on something that says, hey, click here to see the results of Bristol. And it'll take you to the entry list for Kansas. Right now, I'm clicking on playoff standings, and all I'm seeing are the regular season standings. It's Thursday. Like, you had time to fix this throughout the week. What is going on with the NASCAR website? It's been terrible. And if I knew where the playoff standings were, I would read them to you. Oh, I found them buried. There they are. Buried on the NASCAR website. Gotta love it. Here are your standings going into race 1 of round 2 in the NASCAR playoffs. Kyle Larson is 39 points ahead of the cut line. He could wreck out on lap 2. He could wreck out in stage 1 the same way he did at Atlanta, and he's probably not going to be out of the playoffs for that. Then you have Christopher Bell in second, 24 points above the cut line, and Tyler Reddick, 20 points above the cut line. William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano round out your top 8. Remember, only 8 drivers will be moving on. Joey Logano is 8th right now with only a 4-point cushion to the cut line, who is Austin Cindric, his teammate, 4 points behind Joey Logano. Then you have Daniel Suarez, 6 points behind Logano. Alex Bowman and Chase Briscoe round out the field of 12, 7 points behind Joey Logano. There is no guarantee that you move on into the next round. Just look at the standings right now. Blaney, Hamlin, Elliott, and Logano all no more than 11 points separating them to the cut line. That's 11 positions on the racetrack. It's not hard to lose that much spots, that many points in a single race, even in a stage. You know, if somebody below the cut line finishes second in the stage, I'm not even going to give them the win. Second in the stage, and you don't get stage points, that's 9 points right there. That's going to vault somebody from the bubble to in the playoffs, and somebody's going to get booted out. It's going to be a long 3 races. It's going to be an interesting 3 races. We start at Kansas. Kansas, one of my favorite racetracks to watch. I do think it's a fun one. Starting the round. Then we go to Talladega, the wild card of them all. Who knows? You know, Daniel Suarez could win at Talladega and punch himself into the round of 8. It could happen. And then you go to the Charlotte Roval, the redesigned Roval, might I add. It has a little bit of a change to the infield section of the racetrack. Now, if you're familiar with it and if you're able to picture the racetrack right now, think about when they're making the right-hander on the infield and they're going towards turn 2. It used to go to the right and then it would cut back to the left and you'd have this like wide sweeping turn to get back onto the racetrack. Well, now it sweeps to the right, but it's a much wider sweep. And then it's almost a 180 degree turn. It's basically like a hairpin to get back onto the racetrack at turn 1, where they normally get on the banking and then get to the backstretch. We'll get there in 2 weeks though. We got plenty of time. This weekend, it is Kansas. The race on Sunday at 3 o'clock. I'm excited. I do like Kansas. And currently, Kyle Larson's your favorite. Dominating NASCAR as he's been all season. We have one more segment to go here on this Thursday. We're going to wrap things up, get you set for Friday night, get you set for the weekend, talk a little NFL, talk a little news. We'll have some fun doing it. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this.
More of sports director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, some rain will continue for the rest of the evening, starting to taper off a bit after midnight, and we'll be in a little bit of a lull period into the early morning hours. The worst of the rain, wind, and even that tornado risk come mostly Friday morning to midday, and gusty winds 35 to maybe 50 miles per hour through the morning hours. Things start to get better, though, in the afternoon. We're clearing things out. Some sunshine will come back. The winds relax, and we start our weekend off on a really nice note for Saturday. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Brookdale Village in Huntersville presents their free concert series Live Under the Oaks on Friday. The Village is open all day long for shopping and dining, with Hey Ladies taking the stage at 6 p.m. Bring your chairs and enjoy on-site beverages from Red Rocks. Live Under the Oaks kicks off at 6 p.m. Friday. This Saturday, the Taba Walk begins at 2 p.m. in Old Town Cornelius. Join the area's premier arts and music festival and get ready to experience Lake Norman's most action-packed and fun-filled community celebration with plenty to do for the entire family. Festivities include 2 stages of live bands and entertainment, local artists, craftsmen and vendors, local breweries, multiple food truck courts, a petting zoo, kid zones, games, giveaways, and so much more. The Taba Walk begins at 2 p.m. Saturday in Old Town Cornelius. Northview's Stars Ministry presents a fundraising carnival for children and adults with special needs on September 28th. The carnival begins at 11 a.m. Saturday at 2615 Amity Hill Road in Statesville with free admission. There will be food, activities, and fun for the whole family. Please help raise funds for children and adults with special needs Saturday at the Northview Church of Christ in Statesville. The Breakaway Carolina Music Festival returns to ZMAX Dragway this Friday and Saturday, bringing a party like no other. The festival features 2 days of music, activities, and much more, beginning at 4 p.m. on both days. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for information, tickets, and details for the Carolina Breakaway Music Festival this Friday and Saturday.
The Renaissance Festival is back! Saturdays and Sundays, October 5th through November 24th. Jousting nights, mermaids, fairies, dragons, oh my! Tickets available online only at renfestinfo.com. Don't miss it!
To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Rev up your dreams with a bike from Tilly Harley-Davidson. Whether you're new to Harley or a seasoned pro, Tilly has the bike for you. Come experience the freedom of the ride. Feel the thrill of the road and the thunder that only a Harley can provide. Stop by Tilly Harley-Davidson of Statesville or go to tillyhd.com.
Now more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Final segment, ladies and gentlemen, on the Scoreboard today on this beautiful Thursday. Last chance to get your phone calls in. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. I want to talk about this real quick before we get into the NFL, before we get into news, before we do this day in sports history. The WNBA playoffs have been going on. Have you heard much about it? I have, a little bit. Not as much as I was hearing about the WNBA early in the summer. And why is that? Well, like I said at the beginning of the summer, the WNBA is going to run into a problem where they're going to go on a month-long break during the Olympics. Then they're going to have a few games before the playoffs start. But when that happens, the NFL is going to be in full swing. Baseball is going to be winding down their season, getting into the playoffs. The NBA and the NHL are about to start their seasons. College football is going on. High school football is going on. The WNBA kind of got buried. It did. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but we are into round number 2. Round 1 ended yesterday. The Indiana Fever got swept by the Connecticut Sun. Caitlin Clark is out of the playoffs. I find this very interesting, the way the WNBA does things. Now, there's not that many teams in the league just yet. It's going to expand. Give it a couple of years. And the WNBA is going to expand the same way the MLS has expanded, like exponentially. It's going to get crazy in the next couple of years for the WNBA. But right now what they do is they take the top 8 teams in the league. That's it. 1 through 8 go into brackets. 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7, all that jazz. Round 1 is a best of 3 series, but the way they do the best of 3 to me is wrong. It's a 2-1 format, meaning The first 2 games of the series are at the higher seeds, or at the better seed, I should say, because high, low, we don't know what we're talking about. Games 1 and 2 are at the better seeds home stadium. And game 3, which would be the deciding game, is at the lower seeds, the lower team in the standings home stadium. I don't know how I feel about that. We didn't get to see that in action this year, though, because each first-round game ended in a clean 2-game sweep. The Liberty taking down the Atlanta Dream, the Vegas Aces beating the Seattle Storm, Minnesota Lynx taking down the Phoenix Mercury, and the Connecticut Sun beating the Indiana Fever. Now we go to a best-of-5 format. It's a 2-2-1. We're familiar with that. 2 games here, 2 games there, and then the grudge match back at the better seeds home court. Just wanted to make you all aware. Caitlin Clark did win Rookie of the Year. It happened. Everything that we expected to happen did happen. We had MVPs given out. Aja won the MVP this year. We're at the end of the WNBA season. A champion's going to be crowned here soon. Just thought you should all be updated on that because we did talk about it a lot at the beginning of their season. I also want to get into the MLS a little bit here. We've been talking about the struggles of Charlotte FC over the past few weeks. They've been okay. They did get a win, a 4-0 win, very big one to get. That jumped them into 6th in the standings right now. They have 41 points, and the first team out of the playoffs has 34 points. So I'm not going to say that they've clinched just yet because they can still, unfortunately, fall out of these playoffs. It would be really hard for that to happen, though. Charlotte FC only has 4 games remaining in the season. They're going to play Miami. Then they come home for a 2-game set against Chicago and Montreal, and they end the season on the road against DC. I expect them in the playoffs. I do. If they collapse that hard and miss the playoffs this year, man, we're going to have another coach on a Charlotte team. Again, owned by Tepper. I don't want to badmouth him, but that is your Charlotte FC update for you. By the way, next game for Charlotte FC is actually going to be on Saturday. They'll be on the road taking on Miami. Inter Miami. Let's get you set for the football weekend coming up. We have some games over the weekend. We have a game tonight, actually. Who would have thought that this game would feature 2 teams with a losing record? Because I did not think that was going to happen. The Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants are both 1-2. Now, I expected the Giants to be bad this year, but the Cowboys, man, Dak, you just got your money. You just got your money, Dak. Right before we started the season. Like that Sunday of week 1, that morning, you got your contract. And your team is 1-2. That's not how you start if you're in Dallas. That's not okay. The Cowboys, we've been talking about them for forever, it feels like. And when are they going to win again? Well, they're going to make the playoffs probably, but I'll tell you what, losing to the Saints and then getting blown out by the Saints, not even losing, but getting blown out by the Saints at home, and then losing to the Ravens at home is not a good way to start your season for the Cowboys. So they play the New York Giants. Game will be in the Meadowlands at the New York Giants Stadium. 8:15 is when that game begins. Coverage should begin right around 7 o'clock. A reminder, sweeping reminder, it's Thursday Night Football. You can only get it on Amazon Prime. You have to pay for the streaming service to get it. Don't hurt me, I'm just the messenger. You can't watch it on cable or DirecTV or Dish or whatever you have. Spectrum, Time Warner, I don't care what you have. You can only watch it on Amazon Prime Video. Yeah, I know. That's where we're at in sports, though. Streaming. Everything's streaming. Looking at the week to come for the NFL, some good games are afoot. Andy Dalton has a chance to do something really funny. as the Panthers are coming up on a game against the Bengals. Now, we thought the Bengals were going to be good this year, but somehow, some way, my Super Bowl pick has less wins than the Panthers so far this year. That's not good. That's not good. But the Panthers are at home hosting those 0-3 Bengals. Andy Dalton, longtime Bengal quarterback, if he sends the Bengals to 0-4, I'm going to have to rethink my Super Bowl pick. I'm not doing it. I'm not changing it. I believe in the Bengals. I believe in Joe Burrow. But the Bengals play the Panthers Sunday, 1 o'clock. We do not have very many primetime games in Carolina. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Panthers, Bengals. Bengals 0-3, Panthers 1-2. Now, I said in my preseason lineup for this team, I said they are probably going to lose this game. Just trying to find their footing, really, in this one. I think the Bengals are going to be a team to watch. I do. But we'll see. You know, the Bengals start 0-3. They usually have bad seasons to start anyway. They start 0-2, it seems like, every single year do the Bengals. But in my predictions for the Panthers, I did have them losing this game in week 4 and in week 5 too. Don't get mad at me. That's what I thought was going to happen. So tune into those Panthers Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll be able to listen to it right here on WSIC. So if you're traveling, don't worry. We got you covered. Turn on WSIC. We got you. We'll help you get through the day and listen to those Carolina Panthers. We got to really quickly get a couple of this day in sports histories out for you because we are rapidly approaching the end of the program. On this day, it was on this day in 1996, Barry Bonds became the second MLB player to hit 40 home runs and steal 40 bases in a season. The second player in history to do that, and Shohei Ohtani just became the first ever to have a 50 home run, 50 stolen base season. Also on this day, 1 year later, Ken Griffey Jr. hit his 56th home run of the season. That was the 1997 season. Also on this day, we have a lot of baseball history on this day. Nolan Ryan threw his 5th career no-hitter, a 5-0 win over the Dodgers in the Astrodome. Yes, that's where that game took place. Also, Wilt Chamberlain is in the news from this day in 1973. Chamberlain signed a contract with the ABA San Diego Conquistadors. That was on this day, 1973. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in today, tuning in throughout the week. I apologize for the start of the week being sick and out of commission here. I wasn't able to do the show. Yesterday, man, I was tired afterwards, but we got through it. Watch your sports this weekend. High school tomorrow. I will be back Tuesday, a couple days that I won't be in town. So you'll hear from Patrick Reynolds on Monday. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you on Tuesday. Until then, see ya.
Serving you better than ever before.